All right, and we're live.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Call the meeting to order at 6:06 p.m. Going to roll call, Renard Amaro,
Patrick Jankachi.
Suzanne Soriano. Never Logan.
order of business, referral, divisions, or deletions. Good?
Nope.
Okay, let's go straight into public comments. Please state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes.
If you want to provide a public comment, maybe introduce yourself, take this time to.
Absolutely, I'm Detective Nieves, Miami Dade, assigned here to the town of Miami Lakes.
And I'm Officer Robin Amador, Neighborhood Resource Community Officer.
And we wanted to join you today because in 2024, Happy New Year to everybody. 2024, we're going to ramp up our efforts with crime prevention across the town. And so my partner here and I are going to be attending some of these meetings and meeting with all of you and see what kind of crime prevention efforts we can get underway in all of the HOA communities and answer questions and just work closely with you all to keep your communities even safer.
Great.
Detective Nieves is the one mostly spearheading everything. She's being very modest. It's community interaction. We're trying to reach, well, she does the detective work, but what ends up happening is it's after the fact, right? So she goes through a house that's been, a car that's been burglarized, and then, so what we want to do is we want to go backwards and try to prevent that from happening, and that way, right, we have less crime in the town.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, moving on, old business. Approval
Oh,
of,
I'm sorry, real quick. I do have a public comment that I received via email from a Ms. Hope Reynolds. She wanted me to pass along 2 links, which I went ahead and forwarded to you all this morning via email. One is a link to her group that she created on LinkedIn, Stop the Abuse of Special Tax Districts group, as well as an article, 2024 session and opportunity to ease the housing costs, insurance, and special taxing districts. So I went ahead and provided that information to you. So if you can, please go ahead and take a look at your earliest convenience. Okay.
We received it, and her concerns have been noted. I honestly don't have time to read a long email, but we appreciate the fact that was forwarded. Thank you.
Okay.
okay. Old business, approval of minutes. We have a chance to review them.
Yeah, they should also be attached on the document.
That's next to the agenda.
Any changes, updates? Nope, you good?
Okay.
We have a motion to accept the minutes.
My motion.
I second it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. Security guard services. You're on, sir.
Thank you. John Frenzel from SFM Security. I've been sharing with JP our monthly reports, and I believe these have been distributed. I see that the activity in our guardhouse has stabilized. We have reported fairly the same number of reports on a monthly basis. We've also seen the number of vehicles stabilized as well. We had almost 40,000 vehicles in both October and November, and 46,000 vehicles in December. Of course, the holidays explain the increase in the number of vehicles that were processed. But that's actually the only information that I have that I can share with you. Our supervisor visits remain as committed on previous months, and we haven't had much turnover in terms of our security officers, so they also are stable and under control. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, these numbers, do they count the people that go through the automatic and the manual one as well?
No, these only are the number of registered vehicle entries through the access point that we control. Those vehicles entering through the gate arms with the clickers, we're not monitoring those.
Okay, so these are basically the numbers visitors.
It should be mainly the number of visitors, but as you know, there's a sizable number of residents who elect to go through that entrance because they have not either procured or obtained the clicker. So that number is I would say a mix of all those.
Got it. Thank you for the clarification.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is just the visitor lanes. It would be possible to monitor, but very difficult to monitor the other lanes because there's no internet access point at the guardhouse. So it would be something to manually have to go over there and see. But that being said, only residents have access to the clickers, so it shouldn't be a concern as far as anyone entering through there.
No, I'm sure there's a way to go into that database to get it, but there's no need. I just wanted clarification, because even those numbers, just for the visitors and or residents, that's a high volume.
Yes.
That's a very high volume, which, leads to the maintenance issues. We do have the gates, which we discuss every other a month. It's going down, so
We
you're
need
right,
help.
that's within reason. So thank you for that clarification.
So
Yes, sir.
it seems like this last 30 to 40 days, I don't recall seeing an arm knocked off in Cone,
No,
right?
We'll get to that.
there you go, there you go.
All right,
You missed it.
okay.
Okay. Access card update.
There we go.
All right, that's better. So, access card update. Since our last meeting, we've had 9 additional cards ordered, which is not too high. Our previous number was at 435 remaining, so 435 minus 9. I should have done the math beforehand.
Maybe
So we're at 935 now?
Yeah. 435 minus 9, we're at 426.
So we
Remaining.
still- we- 425 households have not collected the
420, yeah,
426.
426.
My math is not good.
Ooh, that was good, good one.
Let me make one point about that though. It's not by households. It's by remaining clickers because, again, some households are ordering more than one clicker. So you have to factor that in. Out of the 9, there were a couple of homes that ordered 2 or even 3 clickers. So there was one that ordered 3 clickers.
Right, my house, we have to. So we do not know how many homes, individual homes, still do not have clickers. I think we had that information somewhere.
We have the information somewhere. It would have to be like I'd have to do research on. I'd have to go through
Yeah, I think
Excel
that-
sheet, kind
yeah,
of
I think there was
break
a-
it down.
There was a 2-column thing.
I also would need to get all the locations, all the homes to be able to factor that in. I know that some of the apartments, kind of hard to factor it by that, but
But
I
we-
could
we-
do the research if
We
needed.
don't have any apartments though.
Well, isn't isn't the Anchorage, for example, isn't that like
They're individual homes.
they're all individual homes? Oh,
They're like townhouses,
townhouses.
Yeah.
but they'll have its own.
They'll have their
own
own.
address.
They'll
Okay.
have their own, yeah.
Understood. But yeah, if you need me to go back and
No, I
look
just,
into that.
you know, just as, it's not like, just at some point we like, okay, why are these people not doing it? And then maybe going to the HOA and telling, hey, can you guys ask the people within your HOA? And at some point, just have them all taken care of.
Absolutely.
Nothing that I am putting as a project, or a
Yeah.
request.
If we don't require it, which we're not, those people that haven't gotten them now, they're never gonna get them.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be the new ones that flow in,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, the issue actually, what I found out is that these are rentals. Like the homeowner, if he's renting, they have not necessarily made that,
That's
you don't make it a requirement, obviously, and then you're not even facilitating, it's really facilitating.
You would assume that the if they're renting that those clickers would be passed down.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
But
that would be
that's
the
not-
case. But
Or else they're going through the visitors.
Yeah, that's what's going on, I'm sure.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Thanks.
LPR update. We're up and running.
we are up and running. LPRs were installed in November. So yay! Woo.
Yay.
They were installed, and we had a little bump in the road at first, as far as the connection. It was going down because it wasn't properly connected, but we were able to work through it and haven't had any issues since the first maybe a week and a half that it was installed.
Is it
So
working well?
working well.
Do we get to know, or can you share if there's been a time?
As far as when I last spoke to Sergeant James, who oversees the LPRs, there have been no reports to this point, which is good. I don't know if maybe you have any additional info on that you'd like to.
And by reports, you mean any hits?
Any
or-
hits from
Right,
in
right,
terms
correct.
of their area about going.
Not as of yet, but I did see, I think was your first, reading was, the second, November second,
Uh-huh.
about 4:55 PM,
Right.
so that's when they were up and running.
Mm-hmm.
It's an incredible tool, I can see you all understand that, so, that's great. As of now, no hits, but we're happy to have it in place. I don't know if you wanted me to mention about the lighting that, I talked about there for the LPRs, that's gonna be a helpful, thing to be sure
In that
those lights
location,
are-
there's a lot of lighting.
There, I
in-
noticed that there is, the nighttime pics are really good, but just to be sure that the light is working, because there is a difference if a light is out.
In Balgoan Road.
Right, correct,
Okay.
yeah, we had talked about that, and I wanted to double check, and I did check on that, and, for example, your eastbound, camera, always perfect picture regardless of the time of day or night. But if it looks like on some occasions, your inbound, your westbound, camera, lights may not have been working, and some of those were, darker images.
So that would be westbound heading into
Heading
the
into-
community.
And, I don't know if this is the right time to share about that, but I brought a picture just to show an example. It didn't go into your community, but one of the incidents we had, recently where, a stolen vehicle hits the LPRs. And this is what the officers are gonna see. So they're not sure what color, the vehicle is. It was a red Jeep, but they may think it's a white or a gray Jeep. And when they're in the neighborhood looking around, trying to find this, stolen vehicle, to be sure that they don't hang around there, if they know that it's red, that would be like super helpful. And, so one of the images from your LPRs was, this, for example. This is your nice bright eastbound,
Uh-huh.
and this, I think the light came back on, but there were a few images that came out a little bit darker. So that's one of the things also that we kind of, in our review of the post orders for the guards, to be sure that that these lights are working, so that the LPRs are picking up some nice clear images, with the colors. And for example, anything like this that, but we would let you know, like I check them periodically,
Yeah,
and if, anything kind of overgrows a little bit.
blocks it off.
Is it the light or is it the beam from the car behind it that's?
This
the,
this
not that one, the one underneath.
The one below?
You can't see.
Oh, yeah, no, we did get the reading. The camera does pick up the tag, so we do know the tag of this vehicle.
Okay.
But it's the color and the quality, because sometimes what we look for is maybe the tag that's attached is not the tag that goes to that vehicle. So we're gonna be looking for a little bit of damage, a little scratch, a little decal. The Jeep I showed you a moment ago had a decal on the right side. So if the light is working and we get a nice clear image, it helps.
Yeah, they steal they put the tag comes back stolen, it's a different car, completely different car, so you don't, when you run that tag, it's another car that's gonna come up, and now we need to know what car is actually, where the tag is attached to.
Especially the units that are responding at that moment, so that they know exactly what they're looking for, because they will communicate with each other and blow the information to each other, and they will say, oh, it's a stolen tag attached to a red Jeep or an unknown color Jeep, so it becomes much more helpful, so.
No.
Nice.
The hit that you have, is that from one of the other LPRs from the other communities?
The
The
Jeep hit was in the main, Diamond Lakes Drive.
Ah, so there was a hit, and that was in December, or
I
before?
think it was December. I think it was
Holiday
December.
time, okay.
Can I have the date that the NPR were installed, please? November?
11/2, she said.
Yeah, November 2nd was the first reading.
November 2nd.
Okay. That was LPR on 82nd Avenue, you said? The main one? Or the one with the hit? Yeah,
The one with the hit was the one on Miami Lakes Drive, and we have a couple there. I want to say maybe it's 770.
It's 77, what's the main intersection?
So on my end, I'm going to obviously make sure that the light is up and running as best as possible. But we may want to review to see if there's enough lighting. Now, because it's different when it's just light to be visible to see, but when you're factoring the camera and the LPR, it might not be sufficient enough lighting. So maybe something to review in the future. I'll go ahead and obviously review it and work with PD to see if there's anything that needs, and we can bring it up in the next meeting.
Alright. There you go. Speed bumps.
Okay, so speed bumps, we've kind of been looking to see the feasibility of it, because we have to make sure that we're following the guidelines of Miami-Dade in general. I will say that we are going to be ordering the speed hump for the visitor lane in the coming weeks, and the goal would be to install it prior to our next NSD meeting. So.
Does that need county approval?
Well, it's not being installed as a what was the proper terminology? It's not being installed as a traffic control. It's being installed for the gate arm to take care of the gate arm itself. So for that reason, it's okay.
That's what research, I'm assuming.
Right.
So we got confirmation, I think that was the word we were using from Miami-Dade County.
Right.
Confirmation, yeah.
So it basically got confirmed based upon that particular definition.
Confirmed based on our research that it's not going to be a issue. It's not with Miami-Dade County. It's not going to be an issue as far as with Miami-Dade County to go ahead and install, because we're not installing it as a traffic
Control.
It's a traffic control
And
device.
on the other lanes, we can't do the same thing?
Well, that was not what was approved by the council. The council approved only for the visitor lane.
Right, okay.
So we're gonna see how this goes, and if the arms, incidents go down percentage-wise a lot, then we can.
Then we have a leg to stand on,
Exactly.
an arm to stand on.
We can, go fishing again.
Traffic mitigating, right? Traffic control mitigation. I don't know, something like that.
Uh-huh. Okay.
All right.
Here we go. Crime report update.
I provided you all with the crime report for December. I've also started sending them out regularly. We actually received it today, so I was able to get it out to you guys as soon as I received it. I also included, I don't know if you picked this up, this will kind of help you
Yes.
with reading it
With the code.
because it gives you the codes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So
This is
that,
great.
yeah.
So, a question for the officers. Basically, in Miami Lakes, all we have is a lot of break-ins to the cars. Is that what's what main problems is?
Yes,
Issues are?
that's definitely the main issue, and from your grid, from what I looked at before coming to your meeting, your grid is doing
Always
great,
good.
0314, and the north part is
Yeah.
0375, and,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, but yes, definitely, primarily vehicle burglaries, and that's why we are trying to promote the Lock It or Lose It campaign, and, that's one of the things we discussed, if perhaps you all wanted to consider putting a small, tasteful sign at the entrance, a little Lock It or Lose It, as people drive into their communities, as they're getting home, a little reminder. And then we'll keep talking to you all about any other type of crime prevention campaigns and information sharing.
Okay, I do have a question for you, the officers. In November, it wasn't reported, but in November, our landscaping vendor, guy that gives us the services, he parks his truck with all his equipment there, and his truck everything was stolen out of the truck. And he was, a
Right,
nice
broad daylight
guy,
right there.
and so he called me, let me know, and of course he was upset, and I didn't know what to tell him, and I said, well, I don't know what to do, but I think you should report it to the police. And I don't know if he did, but was that the right? He has to report it to the town?
So the answer is, this is in our neighborhood, inside our gate?
In Lake Cynthia,
Okay, so
inside the gate.
he should have reported it, because I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that there's probably one of the other landscapers that took his equipment, right? Because for her as a detective, her follow-up is gonna go to the LPR. I'll tell you right now. So if we can match the time and the date, and you just follow which trucks went into there, she has a good chance to catch the case.
I see.
Does that make sense? So he needs to report it. And the reason we have just such low vehicle burglaries, right, is because, number one, it's a gated community, it's single access, ingress, egress. Number two, the LPR is a force multiplier is what we call it, and it provides an excellent lead. In order for us to follow through that lead, yes, he has to report it. We didn't know about this. I guarantee you she doesn't know about what you're telling me, because
No. I don't
but,
think he reported it.
he needs to report it, because that's a felony.
report?
He needs to report that as a felony.
Unless he has these people sometimes that are afraid of doing something like that.
I don't know why he
And that's
didn't report. I
unfortunate.
tried to report it. I called the
report
police.
Yeah, you
Oh my God.
can't report it.
I can't
for him,
report it for him.
And he would have to do that, and I can pretty much tell you, just because the way our community is set up, she would be happy to take this case,
Right.
because they have the time to follow up on this
Follow
lead
up on that.
and the single ingress, egress point with the LPR.
Okay.
And if you can narrow it down to the time,
Right.
within 2-3 hours, all these
The
cars that
date,
went through,
right.
and it might actually have caught the person with his equipment on the back.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's gonna be either another law person, and I guarantee you it's someone in a pickup truck that just loaded it really quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, he needs to report
Okay.
that. Maybe what you're gonna find with these landscaping people, because they're from, I'm assuming, different country,
Yeah.
the trust in the police is not there. And they may think that they don't speak Spanish, but, we're Miami, so.
Well, I
I've
did
noticed
tell
that.
him they speak Spanish.
Yeah, we all speak,
Yeah.
so, yeah, the
Okay.
encouragement to please report that, because whoever took this landscape equipment, he's still coming back. And then I guarantee you that the Lakes detectives would love to get on this case.
Okay.
Yeah, one big thing that we have historically, immigration, we don't care about the immigration
Yeah, we
status for anybody. So let's say he says, oh my God, you know, the owner says, oh, you know, let's say, you know, because it happens. I have 5 workers, some of them might not be here legally, we don't care.
You're right.
It's a crime, we're gonna take care of the
Right,
crime,
it
we don't
is.
care about what their status is, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, sometimes
They
they overthink it, right? So we wanna tell them, don't worry about it, we wanna catch the bad guys, we don't care about what,
Exactly.
that situation, that's not our problem.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the state of Florida has made it such a horrible
Yeah,
environment for people that are documented that they're afraid of breathing.
I think that's why he didn't wanna report it,
You know, it
because
might
he
be
probably has his, workers, not him,
That's unfortunate.
because I'm sure he's licensed and properly vetted,
Yes, he is.
but it's the people he hires, and then that could be why.
Yeah,
But,
but now
um,
he's transporting, and that's when you get your issue,
Yeah.
if you're transporting people that don't have to.
So what he does is tell him to show up by himself.
Thank you, Governor DeSantis.
No, and his tools, everything that was stolen for sure was not stolen already. He didn't steal them because if not, he would have never said anything.
That's right.
So he had all legal
If,
tools.
if you get a hold of him, just tell him, bring his receipts, have him file the labor report,
Right.
because we can track that down to the pawn shops.
Okay.
Besides, there's different ways to it,
Okay.
and then tell him not to worry about the workers, because that's exactly why he didn't wanna get fined.
Okay.
That was in November. But, you know, it's been so long, they could have probably already pawned
It's
it.
already
Yeah,
gone,
it's,
it's already
it's
gone.
probably a mute issue,
You
but
know?
Now you know.
now I know.
Next subject, landscaping update.
Landscaping was flowers were changed prior to Thanksgiving, which I know was very important for the board. The next flower change will take place in April. I don't have the flowers for you at this moment. I'll probably have them by March, and once I hear back, I'll send them out to you. I don't. It's probably gonna be late April, so we may have our meeting will be prior to flowers being changed anyway, so you'll know by then.
Okay, moving on, new business, alternatives for unmanned guard gates.
Real quick, I do see there's 2 here, alternatives for unmanned guard gates and 24 manned guard gate options. I know that this was something, Helen, that you wanted to add. You wanted to add both of them. Is there a difference between the 2, or are they more or less the same? Yeah, can we push that into one?
I think that what I was speaking about is going back to the resolution and what the language of the resolution, and it says that one of the purposes is to have a 24/7 unarmed presence, like the physical presence.
Right.
And every time we brought that up and we priced it out with the different vendors, I know at least in my time here on this committee, we've done it twice. We originally changed from the original vendor to Kent, and then now from Kent to SFM. So twice we had like the procurement process and all that stuff. And we always asked for offers as to what would it take to truly have a 24/7 manned option. And the only options we always got was, well, you need 2 people, 24, so that, you know, and then they said, well, what we could do is you have 2, you don't want 2 people standing there, so you can have one roaming, and when the other one breaks or goes to the bathroom, they kind of, so that you can guarantee somebody on board. And then every time we get the pricing, I'm gonna just sum it up my way, is basically our taxes would double. Whatever we're paying now, double it, and that's what it would cost. And so I know there's been a big issue about, oh, no LPR, no SIG, so in my head it's like, well, we really are not complying to the letter of the law of the resolution, because we don't have 24/7. We don't. This week I went through, the gate was up. I went to an eye doctor appointment on Commerce Way. Finished my doctor's appointment, came back, and guess what? Arm was still up. So I don't know how long that break was, but I can tell you I was gone for quite a bit. So I'm just saying is, it's not just that's every day. So in my head is, what's it take to really do it? And so I think that last time we were here, JP, you said that maybe you had some ideas
I
as to
do.
alternatives. So in my head is, well, not having a 24/7 manned, what other options are there? Because perhaps, like, you know, you can't get everything you want,
Mhm.
but maybe you can get something that's a lot better than what we have right now.
Absolutely. Well, let me just first talk about how things are right now. Um, as you mentioned, there are breaks for the guards as far as lunch breaks, which is part of the contract. And if you could remind me what the times are, they're at the times for the breaks are 7 p.m. I'm sorry,
3 a.m.,
3 a.m. And what is the other break in the morning? 10? Is it
11 a.m., I believe.
11 a.m.? So 11 a.m., 11 to 11:30, 7 p.m. to 7:30, and then 3 a.m. to 3:30. Those are the scheduled times. That is when they're supposed to be able to take their lunch breaks. Now, there is wiggle room depending on how much traffic there is, that they may push it back a little further, but they shouldn't really take it prior. Um, as far as bathroom breaks, it's very hard to manage that. We can't really tell somebody, oh, you can't go to the bathroom. If you gotta go, you gotta go. So that's where we are right now. One thing that we have done is SFM has graciously they're adding cameras to watch the guards inside in their headquarters. They have in their base of operations they have a monitoring system, so they're watching the guards close. They've also given me access. We're working to get access at Miami Lake Section 1 as well. Should be getting that soon, so that I'll be able to watch from either my phone or from my desk, to be able to see inside the guardhouse and or from just outside to see how the guard is doing their duties. Other than that, I do have some alternative options. It is expensive to add another gate, not another gate, another guard, or a roaming guard, which would be even more expensive. One of the alternatives that we can do, and I've gotten some quotes, which I'll go ahead and happily send them to you after this meeting concludes. I'll go ahead and send over the quotes if you guys are interested. Is I've received a quote for photo switch to be able to make the switch the guard gate from manual to automatic. So whenever the guard is going to go on their bathroom break, or when they are going to take their lunch break, they would switch the switch, and it would start running on automatic. So a laser would
Right.
kind of like the exit lane. The exit lane, you drive up to the exit lane, it reads that you're there, and the gate arm goes up. It would be the same thing. The cost of it is right around it's right around 1,000 for one lane, which is what you have. You only have one visitor lane, you only have one entrance, so it would be right around 1,000. There's 3 different prices, but 2 of them are more or less the same. There was one that came in more expensive. It was a different system that they wanted to install, which is kind of based on the weight of the vehicle. So that you have to drill into the ground, and more expensive. But they say that it's better long term. Having said that, by all accounts, the photo switch system shouldn't be an issue. And as far as repairs and maintenance, it's not expensive to change to
Now,
do.
the $1,000, that's installation of this particular device, and that's the total cost?
That's the
of it?
total cost for the turning of the switch,
For the photo?
the photo, the system itself,
The
everything,
equipment, everything.
equipment and installation. Now again, you'd have to look at the quotes. It's by it's roughly 1,000. So.
If I may add something to her point regarding it being unmanned.
Can we say on staff?
Or unstaffed, that's correct. Unstaffed during the breaks. That may be a no point because of the LPR. So as the LPR goes through, once the person's out there, it's catching all the visitors going through.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I'm gonna forecast this, cause I know that the staff is already taking manual pictures, right? The LPR is already doing that. And then I'm sure you can data source it, so how you wanna mine the data, it'll give you accurate numbers from the month of December, just how many cars have gone through, during that month. That way it will address your concerns. The photo switch idea is a great idea, by the way, because what happens is it gives the appearance that the card is there once they're in a break, that the gate automatically comes up. So if I'm a bad guy coming up, you see whether you see the card or not, if it goes up and down, you won't be able to tell that the gate is up. Does that make sense? That the card is not paying attention.
It's just an additional deterrent.
It's an additional turn.
It allows, like you just mentioned, just having the gate arm down
That's correct.
24/7, as opposed to being up for however long length of time. We're already over an hour because of the breaks. Then you add, bathroom breaks and all that. So it would allow to be the gate arm down 24/7, and that's how you should look at it.
Is there a sign that says that the cameras are installed?
Is there a sign?
Yeah, outside the guardhouse. Do people know, I mean, obviously a lot of people know we have the cameras, but do strangers know?
No, there's no sign that says that the LPR is
No,
watching you or
that's
anything like
camera
that.
surveillance,
No.
nothing like that. Just curious.
Yeah, you wouldn't
Well,
wanna put
because
that.
it's not
Purpose,
camera.
defeats the purpose.
We're not surveillance, it's not camera surveillance.
No, it's LPR.
LPR works a whole different ballgame.
Yeah,
That's correct.
that's true.
It only does hits on the silver alerts, stolen vehicles, stolen decals. It's a crime prevention tool and an investigative tool as well.
I got a question for you. How exactly? No,
Huh?
John. How exactly does the shift change happen? Do they have to wait until the person gets there?
Yes.
Okay. What happens if they're late? Incoming.
Several things happen. The first is that the outgoing officer calls our SOC to inform that the relief is late. At that point, the SOC gets involved, calling the officer to determine if the officer is en route or if something may have happened that prevents that person from arriving. Say that the officer is gonna be late, then it's just a mere time adjustment between both officers as to the time that they're gonna be arriving in. But if the officer has an extended call out, and is gonna be there like after an hour, then a call is made to the supervisor, for the supervisor to go and relieve that security officer, and they provide that shift change.
The one thing I would also like to add, if you were to go ahead and want to install this system, keep in mind, that we need to obviously supervise the guards even more, because we want to make sure that they're only turning it on
When it's supposed to be.
when they're on their break
Right.
or when they are in the bathroom. But having said that, the positive tool about this is whenever an incident does occur, whenever they are filling out a report, right now they have to do their job and fill out reports
Right.
to provide to SFM's management and also to myself, which can be timely, but it also requires them to put the gate arm up whenever they're filing these reports, because they have to focus on finishing the report, whether it's because someone rammed through the gate arm,
Right.
one of the gate arms is broken, things along those lines. Or even, if they're trying to monitor that, they see something suspicious, they file a report. So, having said that, this would also allow the gate arm to stay down when they're doing those reports as well. So,
Another thing is, that you mentioned that, is if we can get, and do have a count, like you said, of all the cars coming in, we can compare that count with his count of taking the pictures, right? And we can compare to see if they're actually taking pictures on, other than.
are you referring to the LPR?
Yes.
LPR, as far as I know, is not information that is public
Yeah.
knowledge.
No, but hold on. I think what you meant was, if you have the gate arm where it's either manually put up or it's automatic, okay, and they don't manually put it up, it's automatic. We'll know how many times the arm goes up and down, right? Doesn't that count? Isn't there a way of measuring how many times this happens?
As we mentioned earlier, it is possible, but there's no internet access at your guardhouse. So I would have to manually go into the system over there and kind of pull
Or
those
get-
records.
Or get internet.
Or get internet, which would be another cost. It would be something that it's possible. Let me put it that way. It's possible, but I'd have to figure out how to do it on a regular. If you want it on a regular basis, it would have something that I have to figure out how to make it possible every time at the
So I
guardhouse.
think if you know let's say the arm goes up 1,000 times and SFM only produces, let's call it 850 pictures, then there's a lot of pictures missing.
To give you an
And it
idea,
could be their break time, in other words, and that's where, we don't have that measure. But
Yeah.
I pulled up the resolution, okay? And I love, this is one option, I'm assuming there might be other options, and I don't know if there's only one option that you're gonna present us, but, is this option better than what we currently have? I think yes, cause it eliminates, it's the presence of this thing that goes up and down, but if the guard gate manually leaves it up, cause I think that option's still gonna be available, I guess, for emergencies and like hurricanes, they always put it up. It goes back to the employee doing their job. And I know it was late and I'm not gonna use the committee's time, but all my praises of SFM I have now complaints and they're repeated complaints of the same similar situation, so the praises are still there, but there's a problem, and I don't know if it's guard specific or, it kind of like, in Spanish there's a saying, you have a new broom, it sweeps really, really good the first couple of days and after that it gets old and, so sometimes it's just time that does it, but service will be provided 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, a visible safety program, initially. So initially to me means you can start that way, you can add more stuff, so that's why I think that's how we got the LPR and that's how we got to put the light post and all that. But if it's supposedly 24/7, that option, even though it, I think, improves our gate arm up and it's like a free speedway, and I've seen it. It's not like I've seen it where if that guard gate's up, you got people, like there's no stop sign there, nothing that stops them over and over again. Bad people or good people that are, obviously there hasn't been no major crime within the gate, but the idea here is not to put it after the major crime happens, right? Is to avoid it. So if for $1,000, we can have something that makes it appear that there's a guard gate there. And in my head, I'm like, I personally would be all for it. But it doesn't solve the problem that there's not a manned 24/7, 365 days. But I like options rather than no options.
right? And we kind of discussed those other options already as far as actually having the man gate. Like I said, it's just a matter of you guys. I don't have to tell you. You've gone through it plenty of times, and it's costly. It's costly to add another guard. It's costly to add a roving guard.
Is there no other community, any other special taxing district that uses SFM that perhaps we can buddy with them if they're having similar problems, or perhaps we share a guy? When I say share a guy, is we share a man. Where that maybe that person is the roaming person. In other words, breaks here, breaks there. Is that even possible? I'm just thinking. I'm going out the box thinking. Is there another community that uses SFM that perhaps has similar complaints? And like, hey, maybe we can buddy with them and we can share the expense of an extra man. I don't know the logistics. I'm just talking off the top of my
That's a
head.
good point though. Is it though, is there a difference between the lawmen and us, which are the public roads, and Royal Oaks that had all the private roads? Is the service in the private communities uninterrupted?
Royal Oaks is public also.
Royal Oaks,
Is public road.
which road is public?
All of their roads are public.
I don't think so.
All their roads
Not
are.
private. they're different than us,
They're
which is why we cannot take your name or you just have to.
Royal, I think you're referring to some of the other communities within Royal Oaks, that are nearby, like, Silver
Yeah,
Crest or
everything that's
something like
within.
that.
is
Yeah,
something like
Silver,
that.
yeah, but that's not Royal Oaks. Royal Oaks, is, you have Royal Oaks Section 1 and you have Royal Oaks, East, which both, SFM oversees as well. Those are also public
And
roads.
do they have a similar situation?
Do they have those complaints coming up,
As far as the,
having unmanned,
as far as the unmanned,
on staff?
On
This-
staff?
let me put it to you this way.
I'll work on it.
This quote that I got is not just for one gate arm. It's for multiple, but it can be broken down into one. I got it for the vision of, it could possibly be all the gate arms, because it is something that is everyone is focused on. Is those bathroom breaks, those lunch breaks, etc.
Yeah,
Are they-
I don't think that answered the question though.
Are they complaining as well?
Yeah.
Are they? Is,
Are the
is
other
there-
special
they-
taxing districts?
There are other special taxing districts that are worried about whether the gate arm is open. Yes, absolutely. Does that answer your question?
Well, yeah, because I think,
Are they looking for a solution?
I
or
think in
it's
that
okay
is
with them?
perhaps we need to brainstorm and perhaps we can share the expense and come up with a different way of sharing the second person.
That would be Royal Oaks that you would maybe want to communicate with. I don't know how we would
Would it have to be a board
set
decision?
up
Have a joint meeting?
a joint meeting, possibly. I could present
We
it
can
to
reach
them
out to them and find out, and say that
Thursday.
this committee is willing to discuss with them, perhaps sharing a van.
I have-
It may not cut out the bathroom breaks.
Yeah.
Cause you gotta pee, you gotta pee.
Right.
You got a number two, you got a number two. But if lunch breaks, let's just say, are whatever, 10 to, I don't know how long they are, but let's just say
30
10,
minutes.
okay, 10 to 10:30 and 3 to 3:30, and perhaps they stagger it, we take 10 to 10:30, they take 10:30 to 11, or you give them a 15-minute leeway
And you
of,
have a guard that roams from Royal Oaks East into Royal Oaks Section 1.
I
into
mean,
Miami
it's
Lakes.
just in my head is, it may reduce the cost, it might make it a little bit, the board can vote, the council's gonna say yay or nay.
Yeah.
But in my head is, I'm going back to, hey, where's the 24/7 man?
So-
And the most of the complaints that I've always had is when there's not 24/7, and the gate arms are great, but they're not always functioning. And so in my head is, that's why you have the staff.
Yeah.
Unarmed staff.
Unarmed staff. Can we maybe, sort of draft a one-pager as to what the issue is, what they propose?
Would this have to be a
Maybe-
board decision to generate this inquiry or not?
Well, I'm just saying, if we develop something that then we can share with this, that's all, rather than having a meeting, that's something that can be
I mean,
shared.
procedurally, I don't know how would we even.
I'd have to look into it. You can make a motion for me to mention this idea at the next meeting, which I have on Thursday. But maybe it's a even better idea if one of you can attend and during their public comments, present it that way. Somebody coming from this board, presenting it to that board.
Well, first
in
I have
public
to find out if the board is all on the same page.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
that would be
discussion, now we see whether or not
right.
formalize the proposal.
So before I go to motion on that, cause I definitely willing to motion on that.
Sure.
It's just for inquiry, get information, look and see let's see what options are there. Besides the option of the laser light thing, is there any other option you have to present?
The last alternative that I had was a version of it, but very similar, but it was just more costly. So I looked into different options as to how to make it automatic. One came back significantly more expensive, which was again, it would be a system where the car's weight tells the guard, like a weight system tells it to go up, and it goes up. And versus this, which is a laser system. This issue is that if anyone passes through, like I walk in front of it, it's gonna open. So if I walk in front of the laser, it's gonna open. Versus like if it was a weight system, it's a certain amount of weight that it takes for it to open. So that would be
What's this
Difference, but
significant difference? Can I, what's $1,000
Cost?
versus?
about you're looking at 5,000 to 6,000 for the other option.
Is that the system we have on the exit lane?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then lastly, I want to mention while I think that it's an interesting idea to kind of see what another community wants to do as far as maybe partnering up and doing that, it will still be more than likely significantly more costly than
Oh, no, I
this
understand,
alternative.
I understand.
So, if I have a question, because I know you brought this up several times, is it a crime prevention? Is that why you wanted someone there standing, or just?
Well, Becky, I don't want it. I didn't create the resolution. I'm
Oh,
going
the
on,
resolution.
this says a visible safety and sentinel security program and consisting of one unarmed uniformed guard per shift, and then service will be provided 24 hours per day, 365 days a year. So-
Original.
This is the thing, right?
Okay.
This is what it says. So, a lot of discussion of like, oh, we shouldn't have put the LPR, that wasn't really what
Yeah,
this
because
says,
of the resolution.
and all that kind of stuff. And I know legal got involved with it, council got involved, and at the end of the day, they all said, I guess, I don't know, that this allowed this to happen. And so we recommended it, and it was a big to-do it took a long time for us to get there. So when you say, is that what I want, in my head it's like, well, this is what this is, so yes, I think that also, not just looking at, if we were explained, or I understood at meeting way back in the past, that from the beginning of I'm gonna call it the little island, to the end of the island, where the guard gate is, and from the edge of the road where the sidewalk begins, on both sides, that is the section 1 thing. So we're in charge of, like you said, the plant dies, it's not a town thing, it's our thing. Because had there not been a security thing passed, there wouldn't be a guard gate there, and then maybe if the town would've had a median there, they would've taken care. That's the way it was explained to us. So that's why we use these tax dollars, and we changed the landscaping, because at that time, people were coming in here saying, it looks like crap, you know, all the homes behind that guard are X amount of money, and it looks like really, really bad. Couple of meetings ago, we had a full house, and I heard more than once, the guard gate looks like crap, why don't we change the whole, I remember they started talking about all that, and then it was like, oh, and now the council passed where if you're gonna do what do you call that? A certain project, now we have to do it on help me with words.
Any project that you guys vote on has
Capital
to be
improvement.
voted by the community, yeah.
Right, and so.
Which
it's like-
this would also fall under that. This would be a capital
Right.
improvement project, if you went with, that's another thing, I'd have to see how it works from, like, now would it be, the vote would require multiple communities to vote on the same issue, you know, those are things that I have to get back to. Right.
So it's what they call a straw ballot vote, or
Yeah.
something like that, okay. So if you're gonna do a straw ballot vote, whatever it costs,
It's still being decided how
Right.
it's gonna be.
whatever cause that costs money to do all this. And you're gonna do it for $1,000 laser, and in my head is, the more information we have, let them do it on everything. Laser, what it is to one-armed person, or let's do it
Multiple
on
questions.
sharing the one-armed, the one-armed, unarmed person. In other words, at that point is add everything you can, that way we get feedback through the straw ballot as to,
You're saying present all the options and then
I mean, I don't know how much it costs.
Multiple questions on it.
multiple questions and let them decide on
Yeah,
it.
because if we're gonna require the remodeling, which is the next thing, the remodeling, the physical presence of the house that we started to discuss. You're not gonna do a straw ballot on the $1,000 laser beam, and then later let's do the other one on the. In my head is that, cause remember, it's my tax dollars too. I mean, to me, is how can we do this the most efficient way possible? But I mean, as far as, options that I see is, now that we are obligated to do the straw ballot, this board here voted against 2 guards. At the last thing, we voted against it and we voted to keep SFM, or go with SFM, using, I think, a level 2 guard, right?
Yes.
With 1 person. But I motion, so basically is, I would need this board, or this committee, to vote in favor of putting on a straw ballot and let the, in our case, what, 800 something, 800 and so many homeowners vote
820 or
vote
whatever.
yay or nay if they want the 24, you know, if they wanna accomplish the 24/7, and the only way to do that is to have 2 staff, then let's put it on there. And that way, instead of Helen pushing the envelope, it's let the homeowners push the envelope.
And John, one last thing on that, if you wanna mention, you know, the fact that you have your supervisors who do daily checks, supervisor drives through the community as well.
Yeah, I mean, we continue performing the community patrols. And, you know, they vary in number. And obviously, we're not only checking on the integrity of the security officers, but also patrolling the community. This idea was looked at by SFM previously. And we understand that there are multiple hurdles that need to be overcome for its implementation. But the
I'm sorry, which idea?
the one that you are expressing about having a rover that is shared with, in this case, the 4 Royal Oaks guardhouses. So you're looking at 1 person being shared with between 5 guardhouses, which means that this person would be driving between 5 guardhouses, providing meal breaks and bathroom breaks, and while they're not doing any of the above, they would be doing additional community patrols. I believe that operationally it is a viable option. Our supervisor reinforces that much in the same way as we are currently reinforcing services at Lac Lamond, where we have a rover that operates 24/7, but that rover operates a vehicle that needs to be fueled almost on a daily basis. And we don't have the rover leave the community to fuel that vehicle because that would interrupt services. So we have a supervisor go to the community, they trade vehicles, so our supervisor takes the roving vehicle for it to be refueled and brought back, and then they swap back the vehicles. So that's how we guarantee that there's 24/7 roving services in that community. We would have to follow a similar approach for this older rover if that idea progresses.
So my question is, how many taxing districts, he just mentioned a bunch of different guard gates, but how many districts are,
There's only 4.
you said there's Royal Oaks 1,
There's four security guard service districts. Yourselves, Royal Oaks Section 1, Royal Oaks East, and Loch Lomond. Loch Lomond
has their own people.
has their own roving system. They don't provide bathroom, they don't provide lunch breaks. And as far as bathroom breaks are concerned, the roving vehicle,
Those staff people don't
they
eat?
they eat while they work.
Is that not an option for us?
In your contract with SFM, you have lunch breaks.
Is that legal? To provide lunch break?
Is it legal to provide lunch break?
Does OSHA
No.
know about this?
Is it, I guess the question is it legal to require them to work during, not give them a lunch
So
break?
I believe security guard services doesn't fall under the limitations where you're required to have a lunch break.
Well, I mean, because I guess the security guard would be signing up and agreeing to say, okay, I'm gonna work whatever 8-hour shifts, and my break time, I'm gonna be eating while I do what I gotta do. That's one option. I think that would be probably the less expensive option. I mean, we refer to Loch Lomond very often. And some people are like, I wanna be just like them. Other people are like, I don't wanna be like them.
We can pay what they pay. I mean, we
But
pay what?
I think they were with Kent Security Level 2. Were they not? I don't know now, cause I know there's a big issue there.
Kent is no longer,
With them.
providing security services, SFM
It's
provides
SFM.
security services for Loch Lomond.
And is it Level 2? Does anybody know?
Yes,
So the same as us.
exactly the same rates.
The difference is, same rates.
But they have less house. So they pay more.
No, what I'm saying is they have 24/7. Cause the guards have agreed that there's gonna be no breaks. Is that what I understood?
That is correct.
So my question is, instead of doubling our taxes, or now inventing a wheel of sharing with another district? Cause my proposal would not be to share with 2 other districts, if we share with 1 other district, but at this point, now that I know that, is why can't we work the contract so that we have 24/7? We accomplish this at the least expense. And I say this now with a little bit of sarcasm in my voice, because I've been on this board for how many years and nobody ever shared that option? So, thank you for sharing it now. I'm just saying, I think this, I mean, I can't vote for everybody, but I know the temperature of the board in the past, and I think we would have probably voted in favor of that, considering it could be done, and let the council decide whether it was done or not. Instead of spending so much time and hours of our lives and everybody else's lives saying, how do we get 24/7? How do we get 24/7?
I would say just a couple of things to consider if you were to go that route. Number one, SFM, their guards, are obviously much appreciate having those lunch breaks. These are long shifts especially in your location. They are longer than 8-hour shifts, no? They are
No, they're
12-hour
8-hour
shifts.
shifts.
They're 8-hour shifts? Okay, so they're 8-hour shifts. Now, that being said, if you take that away, some of the guard, you may see some changes in the guards. Yeah,
The volume at Loch Lomond is probably considerably less, I'm not sure.
that's true as well.
Less
It's a
homes.
lot less.
The volume that goes
Half the
through
home.
Loch Lomond is
You can actually
considerably
have a
less.
bite. It's like a bite of a burger in between.
Right, absolutely, that's
This
another
would
thing
be
to
an item
consider.
that we can
Less
also
than
send
half.
out to be the straw ballot, right? Let 800 something people say, yes, we vote that way, or no, we don't vote that way. Is that needed on the straw ballot, or no, just our vote? To go to the council?
To amend the contract
Mhm.
and I'd have to look into it. I believe that, because it's not a capital improvement.
In my
So
head,
I
it's like
don't
we're
believe so.
option building.
It's an
It's
administrative.
it's an administrative, it's not a capital improvement.
Okay, cause in my head is, if we're looking at options, I mean, we're just option building right now.
Right.
We're just throwing things and saying, oh, it's like I said, oh, maybe we can share somebody. Then he mentions like, oh, there's gonna be shared amongst how many other guard gates? And in my head, like, oh, wait, I didn't have that envisioned. How many guard gates are there? We don't necessarily, for example, Royal Oaks Section 1 may not want it, but Royal Oaks East may want it. So perhaps we just pair up with them and find out what that looks like as far as money.
That would not be possible. Royal Oaks is one, even though it's
Okay, it
Royal
is
Oaks
one.
East and Royal Oaks
Okay.
Section 1,
Okay.
they are one advisory board, they work
Gotcha.
together, they
See,
do
I
everything
didn't
together.
understand that, all right. So yes, we would have to share them with 4 or 5 other gates. I got you. Okay. Okay.
So, this proposal that we're discussing with the roving guard, somebody said this was a viable option or not a viable option?
I think it said viable, right? You think it would be viable if the 2 sections agreed to share
Yes,
another, he thinks it's
yeah,
viable.
because if you do the math, it's 5 guardhouses, 30 minutes of a lunch break per guardhouse. That gives you, basically 2.5 hours, plus any bathroom breaks that you may need in between. And, travel time between the guardhouses should be minimal.
Yeah.
And you have an officer working an 8-hour shift, so there would be continuously doing community patrols. So I do believe it's a viable option.
How many how many guardhouses would there be in total, including us?
5.
5. So we're one.
Correct.
Yes.
So we'd have to see if they're interested, and then to be fair is we pay 1/5
Right.
of the expense.
I think that would be ultimately something that you guys would have to vote on, and they'd have to vote on.
Right.
And then once that's been done, then
Then the council takes care of it.
it's figuring out how to, from a logistics standpoint, because you're also talking about 2 separate contracts. So,
Just funding.
no,
Just splitting the funding and then.
I'd have to look into how that would work. I would assume so, but, you know,
Okay.
I don't want to tell you yes and then be wrong.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any great options? We're walking away today, we've thrown a few around, which I think we've never really thrown around.
No, this is new.
Just on you.
Can I just one, add to what you're saying? Because when we have special events, that's how we do it, right? We'll have 5 officers, let's say, at different locations, you have a rover, and the rover, those of us say, look, I want lunch at this time, it's already pre-planned at what time they want the lunch, and then in between them is the lunch break, the bathroom breaks. Hey, can you come over? Okay, I'm gonna come over, right, dude, so that's sporadic. But something else that a lot of times happens is, if one of those officers has a problem, now you have that extra person. So if they get ill, or they have an emergency and they have to go, you have an immediate person, which I know that there's a supervisor, but you have that immediate person that can go until the supervisor comes or until you get a replacement. You always have an extra person.
Okay, thank you. So going back to the options, I guess the question I have is for the laser arm light thing, that's something that we can, let's pretend, motion, let's assume we approve, it only gives approval to be considered to be a straw ballot. Or, what's the limit? I
That's
know
not
there was a
capital,
limit.
that's not capital, is it?
Yeah.
It is a capital improvement.
It is capital.
It is a capital improvement.
And what was the limit? Under,
There is no longer a limit. There
Oh.
used to be a limit of
so
$15,000.
$10 goes to straw ballot.
If it's $1, if it's 30 cents, it goes to straw ballot. But let me backtrack. It's not straw ballot yet. They have not decided yet as to how the voting system is going to be. I know that there's a council meeting tomorrow. It may be decided then. Could be decided in February. I'm not sure. That being said, at some point soon they will have a decision on how that would work. So once I know, I will obviously share with you all.
Okay.
But ultimately, what has been decided is anything that is approved by the board that is a capital improvement, which is anything above 1 cent, has to go to council. Council votes on it. If council approves, it goes to voting of the community. However they
We don't know
decide.
how.
However they decide to do that. And then once they've voted, then it goes back to council for their decision. Because all of this is voting to provide the council their final decision.
So then starting with all the options we discussed.
So I'm sorry, just so that means this could take a few months before it actually comes to fruition. Could take
It's a lot of voting.
4 to 6 months.
So considering what you've explained, considering the limitations that we've had, considering that we want the appearance of safety, and one of the issues that we have been dealing with for years is that arm up when it's, no guard man, staff, person. Now you got me like, it's good, it's good. Awareness, I got it. I would then motion that, yes, let's pass it on to the council to put the laser light on the visitor lane arm so that it would avoid that arm up during these breaks, bathroom or otherwise, or absences of any kind. Instead of having a free-for-all, at least we have a guard. I mean, we know it, and whoever listens to this will know it, but the general public really wouldn't know it. So I would motion to do that.
Do we have a second?
Motion, wait, can I get, a succinct?
No, I don't know how to
Okay,
succinct
then-
anything. A motion to move forward with, installing the laser light
I would,
Switch.
arm apparatus?
Photo switch system.
I would say, I would say, to make that motion, I would say motion to
Motion to,
see the different quotes first, since you wanna see the quotes, the proposals before.
Motion to review quote
Motion to review the
okay,
quotes.
there you go. Motion to review the quotes to install the
regarding
photo
the installation
light sensor
of
arm thingamajigger.
Photo switch system.
sensor for visitors.
For the visitor lane.
I have problems saying that too. Little
We
B
have a
switch.
Do we
second,
have a second?
I'll say.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Okay.
Alright,
I would also, I'm not finished.
I will send that to you, tomorrow morning.
Next motion.
Next motion.
Next motion. Don't know how to say what I want, I'm gonna just say it, then you guys can clean it up for me. I would motion to find out what are the next steps so that we can in fact either join or converse or share with Royal Oaks, the other taxing district, the possibility of perhaps sharing a guard staff,
A roving guard,
like a roving
roving guard.
staff.
motion to explore a roving guard
To be shared with
system.
whatever the other taxing district is that includes Royal Oaks Section 1 and Royal Oaks East. Right? That's just, hey, let's find out. If you said there's a meeting on Thursday, I guess my question could be, is anybody available? Hearing none.
You are.
What time is it? No, I'm not, but I'll try to make myself
Someone
available.
second?
If we second and approve. When is this meeting, John, JP?
This meeting is
7:30
taking place at 7:30 PM on
Thursday.
Thursday.
Okay.
Do we have the motion?
So that's my motion.
Any seconds?
Do we have the motion right now?
If for one of us to attend that Thursday meeting and propose during public comments, I think JP, perhaps you can find out, maybe there's another logistical way for both committees to speak, that it's not necessarily just public comments, because public comments, I say the comments and they don't have to do anything.
Yeah,
It's not on their agenda, it's not on anything, so in other words, is how do we get two committees that work, as aides for the councilman to,
I think the way that you would have to do it is motion for me to speak to them to see if they'll be willing to set up a meeting and then go from there. A bipartisan meeting or whatever.
okay,
So if they
that's
have
my
any
motion.
interest. that's
My
right.
motion is for JP to find out if there's a way to set up a meeting between our committee and Royal Oaks Committee and see if we can share ideas, thinking of perhaps sharing a guard.
That works?
Anybody second my motion?
Do we have a second?
I always say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
One.
Having said that,
Motion.
I would recommend someone going and speaking to them directly, but that's just my opinion.
That's Thursday, 7:30?
Not until May.
Thursday at 7:30.
But am I going as me, or am I going on behalf of the committee? Well, the
We
committee
have-
just voted
we have
yay.
the board.
Well,
Yes,
you
well,
guys
Committee just
voted
voted yes.
You're an exploratory.
Where is this meeting?
here,
Right here.
right here,
Right here, in the same room?
right here. And as you know, public comments is one of the very first things you do.
Yeah.
You could be in and out in 3 minutes.
And you said 7:30, right?
I would come through, but I have to be in Tallahassee.
Okay, you're forgiven. Okay. And then,
You have a limited fee.
no, the other one would be is, help me think. The motion about having the 24/7, and how do we get that into the vote? That's not, oh, you said it's not capital improvement. Hold on.
It's not a capital improvement, no. I wouldn't make a motion on that unless you're gonna move forward with it.
Move forward with what?
You're talking about the bathroom breaks, right?
The lunch eating during.
Yeah.
The lunch breaks, I'm sorry.
We have to get a quote, right?
No.
No?
No, because there's no additional cost.
Okay.
They're paid for their lunch breaks.
Yep.
So all you're doing is removing their lunch breaks.
So I can do the motion, then
From-
we can discuss it,
You're amending, you're doing an amendment to the contract.
right? I can do a motion and we can discuss it here, as far as what this looks like as to the guards working through their lunch,
Correct.
and then take the vote,
Correct.
right? Okay, so I motion to consider amending the contract, the current contract we have with SFM, where we remove the break, the lunch break time, I guess, break time, so that the guards work through their break,
Right.
to allow us to have a 24/7 presence?
Yeah.
That's my motion.
I thought you wanted to go through the strong thing, you know?
No, he says that we don't need it.
For this one, it's an administrative, it's not a capital improvement. My recommendation is it's not gonna work like it does at Loch Lomond.
Okay, well, that's my motion.
No, no,
Does anybody
Oh,
second
that's
my
right.
motion?
I'm sorry. My apologies.
Do we have a second?
A second for discussion.
Oh, thank you. So, I'm in favor of it. I understand as individuals, employees, everybody wants their break time and so forth. I don't know the legal, I'm not an employment lawyer. I'm assuming, and you're not supposed to assume, but I'm assuming if the town has a contract with SFM, the same people that are sitting here today, that provide services to our district, and they have 8-hour shifts and they're being paid the same guard, level 2, same thing, just different people, correct? A different face, different person. And they're doing, I understand the volume is a lot larger, I said, but in my head is, if we're trying to accomplish not what Helen wants, but what the resolution says, 24/7, 365 days a year, I mean, it's either increase taxes to get it done. Now we came up with a possible sharing, but we don't know if that's possible. Or I think the quicker fix may be have them work through their, if we can amend the contract, have them work through their break time. We might be able to at least accomplish that while we work on other, that doesn't mean it's forever. We can amend there and then find out we have a great deal to do with Royal Oaks and then come back and amend at that time. Nothing's like put in concrete.
It's like exploratory.
I mean, that's my point of discussion.
Any comments? What do you think?
I think it's hard to eat at your desk when there's a lot of cars going through.
Yeah,
I think
that's
my opinion.
it's not like, is
not-
it like
it's
Lake
human
Loma, right?
nature
It's not like Lake Loma.
No. It's a whole different thing. You saw 49, how many cars went through in December? 49, is that from the?
46,000.
Okay, it's a lot. So I would not support that.
Sure. Your views.
It's interesting, because I usually work through my lunch, and I eat it in front of my desk as I work. However, I think if there is a happy median here, which is the photo switch, right? Turn that thing on while you eat their lunch break. That's my opinion, and then that's included in one of the options. And that's a small price, considering what's up on the next schedule, which is, small price to pay, as opposed to some of the other things, and then be able to keep the retention of their, I'm not gonna worry about your employees.
I guess for discussion purposes, I'll go to you, Suzanne, not just because I understand what you're saying. I mean, it's a part of me is like, do you believe that we should have 24/7 coverage?
I don't know though how many, and perhaps you could answer that question. When you have 24/7 security, is it allow for, most people allow for the lunch breaks and, or do they have actual people sitting there 24/7? You tell us.
Most of our security posts that operate 24/7 have some kind of system where the officer is allowed to leave the post unattended and carry out their lunch break without interruption. What is unique about Loch Lomond, or Loch Lomond, is the fact that there is a second security officer.
Right.
So what we naturally do is have the rover take over responsibility for that post while that officer is carrying out the lunch break.
Which,
And at that point, we can comply with the mandate that at no point in time will that guardhouse be unattended.
But it's resolved by having two staff.
exactly.
We keep going, we keep
Exactly.
going round
We keep
and round.
going round and
The
around,
problem
but
is, again, it's the cost.
It's the
which
cost.
We had an incident in our last budget that we had a whole room full of people about, complaining about the cost going on. We
Which
have-
was,
we
by the
have-
way, can I add, it was 5 cents a day.
I know,
5 cents.
but
A
it,
day.
it created all this where it now all has to go to the councilman.
No,
council people.
not if we, as a board, no, Rennie, please clarify if I'm wrong. Because I think, because I was also confused as to what takes this, vote of the public. This is not a capital improvement. If we change
Only-
from one staff guard to 2 staff guards,
That's a capital improvement,
oh, that is a capital improvement.
absolutely. You're improving your service, you're improving your level of service.
Ah, I understood
You're-
a few
you're
minutes
doing
ago
it
that
in-
no, it wasn't.
You're doing an addition.
Okay.
Taking away the bathroom break, there's no change to the
Gotcha.
service
Gotcha.
because there's no additional pay
Gotcha,
raise.
and I think we all have concerns as to have this individual where they can't really, put a meal in their mouth. I get it. But then I go back to say, okay, then I do want the motion to be to add a second staff member and let that go to the council and let the council decide whether it goes to vote or not. Because amongst us, we haven't voted in favor because the tax is double. But at the end of the day, how do we do it 24/7? And I get Packy saying, hey, that armed laser thing is a cheap fix to the presence of an arm going up, but there's, the guard is still gone. That half hour, there's no presence, which they're supposed to
But
be
now you
outside,
have
and
the
one of the
LPRs
post
as
orders
well.
is to be outside.
We do have the
You have
LPRs.
additional components. We have the
Yes.
LPR.
Yes.
We have, we're considering the switch for the,
But the
at one
LPR
point-
doesn't capture
Okay.
somebody walking in or riding a bike,
But at one
they don't
point-
capture that.
At one point, it's an overkill. We have all these components to add to the security, and we keep beating this thing, that's not gonna happen, we know it's not gonna happen, they're not gonna take it up. They're not gonna pay the extra cash.
I disagree with you. I think the council, if it's given to them from us to put it for a vote, now with whatever way they're gonna vote, now we're giving that thing not for the 10 people that showed up here that say yay or nay, but we're giving it to 800 something the opportunity to vote. By the way, maybe the 800 some people, only the same 10 people go up and show up to vote. That's the problem we have in this country, people don't vote. But if you give them the opportunity to do that, it's off your shoulders and mine. But it's an opportunity to have it. When you say it's never gonna happen, I don't look at never things are gonna happen, because life changes.
So,
I just don't get many complaints about that. Do you? I don't get any. So the feedback that that I get from my community has been,
Mine is that there's no guard there or the gates aren't always broken. Those are the 2 things I hear all
well,
the
the
time.
Can we-
gates
can-
will continue to
can
be
we
broken.
agree
There's
on
no
what-
solution for that.
Since we need to leave by 7:30,
yes, we have to cut.
we need to get the
We,
room up.
we do have another meeting coming up. I would recommend tabling the other parts for the next meeting.
Well, there's a motion, there was a second,
Yeah,
there was discussion. Can we vote on that motion so that it either fails or passes?
Absolutely.
Okay, What was the motion I forgot?
To amend the contract where lunch breaks are eliminated from the bar.
And that was for discussion?
That was what we just discussed,
Okay.
and there needs to be a vote.
So we don't even have to second, just vote, straight vote.
I seconded for discussion, so that we, now we would not have been able to.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, do we have, what is it?
You've already motioned
All
for,
in favor,
to
basically?
vote on this?
I motioned and she seconded?
No, you motioned to have the discussion. You would have to
So
motion
now we motion.
to
Okay.
vote on it.
So I motion to vote on my motion.
Do we have a second for the motion?
I'll second, I wanna give the opportunity to, all of us to express how we feel about
To
this.
vote.
To vote,
Vote.
to take away the,
Okay.
all in favor,
I vote in favor.
all against, all opposed?
I'm alone.
Motion
Fails, gotcha.
Yes. Okay, we're gonna be, motion to table the remaining three C, D, and E for the next meeting. Do we have a motion?
Yes.
I made it. Do I have a second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.
You two go here.
No, you gotta motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
All right.
Wasn't that the motion that we just did?
All in favor?
Was there a motion that I missed?
It
I'm gonna
is-
oppose.
no,
I
It
oppose.
is 7:33 p.m.
Do you have another meeting now?
I do.
Oh my God.
Thank you.